Yep. Welcome to my bookshelf. This is my bookshelf. Okay. Shall we talk about it? Shall we talk about it? Because I think we shall. I need some water because I talk a lot and I run out of breath when I talk a lot, so here we are. So this is my bookshelf. It looks a little weird maybe, I don't know. I feel like everyone's bookshelves are like so different, but mine is on a random IKEA shelving unit because I used to have a bookshelf, but here's one thing. I am an extremely messy person, okay? I'm willing to admit it. I'm willing to accept my faults. I'm extremely messy, and so it just kind of became a catch-all, and I had this shelving unit already that was also becoming a catch-all, and I was like, how can we fix this problem? So I turned it into my bookshelf, and here we are, and it's already basically all the way filled up. I guess I should show you guys kind of an overview of it. Here is the bookshelf in all of its glory. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, basically 7 little slots, and I will explain them. First one up here, that is my little, what I call Harry Potter shelf. I don't think I can continue on without telling you guys that I have never watched or read Harry Potter. But I know that there's like supposedly like a little, he has to like sleep under the stairs or something. And that's what this little thing reminds me of, because my ceiling's low right here. Do you get why I'm making that analogy? Do we get it? Is it clever? Let me know. Then we have my CoHo shelf, because of course I am the definition of basic and love Colleen Hoover, and I want to own all of her books, so most of them are right here. And then literally all of these shelves, mine is this one, are just my like contemporary fiction romance shelf. And then that is my thriller shelf. These are my thick books, and those are my hardcover books. Yay. Let's go ahead and get into them, shall we? Now, you see, I would talk about my poetry books, but if I'm being honest, I just don't care about them that much. I literally got them when I was in like 8th grade, and I was just like really into poetry for some reason, and I don't really touch them anymore, so we are not going to touch on those, you know? Do you get what I'm saying? We're just not going to talk about those. I'm going to try to go through these in kind of a more fast manner because, like I said, I do talk a lot, but the first shelf we will be talking about is my Colleen Hoover shelf. My favorites. Like, these are some of my favorite books ever that I own. Just look at this stack of Colleen Hoover. Anyway, okay. So I'm gonna try to go through these fast. Let's all hold me to that I will try to go through these fast, okay? First, Finding Cinderella. This is a novella, and this is part of the Hopeless series that I have not read yet because I'm actually in the middle of the Hopeless series right now. Finally picked up Heartbones. Have not read this yet. It will be read by the end of the month. Same thing with All of Your Perfects. Why do I always call it All of Your Perfects? Same thing with All Your Perfects. This is also, I think this like ties in with the Hopeless people, or maybe it's the novella after this. I don't know, but still got it. Losing Hope. This is actually a book that I'm probably gonna start tonight because I just read Hopeless. Literally right before I started filming this video, I just got done with Hopeless. Maybe Someday. Just read this month, and the only thing that I'll say about this book is that if you really like music and you think music is interesting, you want to make music, you love music, I would recommend this book because this book is definitely not as heavy as some of the Colleen Hoover books, like not at all actually, and it's just kind of like a fun, cute read. So if you haven't read Colleen Hoover, you love music, I would really recommend this book. It ends with us. I'm telling you guys, when I read this book, a part of my heart broke off and is forever kept inside of these pages because this book is like one of my favorite books of all time, and I love it. If you guys have somehow not read this book yet, because this book is so widely talked about, I would so recommend you going to Barnes & Noble, like get into your car, go to Barnes & Noble and buy this book because it will change your life. Of course, with most Colleen Hoover books, or all of them, really look up the trigger warnings before you read this book, or really any of her books, and enjoy it because they are masterpieces. Ugly Love. I did like this book. I don't think that I love it as much as like other people do. Definitely did not make me emotional like it makes almost everybody. Like so many people are like, I cried reading this book, and I'm like, the thing that makes people cry, I was a little weirded out by. I'm just gonna be honest. I was a little weirded out by. November 9th, one of my favorite Colleen Hoover books. And I love this book because I love Ben and Fallon, so. Confess, this is one of her like not as widely talked about books, and I saw like some people being like, this is so underrated, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll read it, whatever. And it just felt really Wattpad-y to me, like in a weird sense, and also it felt low-key like insta love to me, and I didn't like it. But I did like the plot twist, but I didn't really like much else about this book. Hopeless, just read this today. Again, not going to say much about this book. Regretting You, this is another one of Colleen Hoover's really underrated books, and I saw this on Amazon, decided to pick it up, read it. I really didn't like the daughter in this book. She was like my least favorite part about this book, and also this book just also wasn't as hard-hitting and really as lovable as some of her other books. It wasn't bad, just wasn't as lovable. Then lastly, we have Verity. I read this for my book talk video, if you guys watched that. If not, it'll be up in the iCards. And this book was just good, but I said if you actually like read thrillers, you would see how incredibly predictable this book is. It's not like it was a bad book at all. I actually gave this book 4 stars because I enjoyed it. To me, it felt more like a romance with some like eerie mix into it. Like it did not feel like a thriller. That is the end of this Colleen Hoover shelf. Next one. Okay, first I want to talk about the elephant in the room, which is this copy of Act Your Age, Eve Brown. I actually dropped this in a kiddie pool this summer and completely destroyed this copy of this book. And I'm so disappointed by it, strictly only because it's really hard to shelf and display. So I actually liked this book. It was okay for me. Definitely wasn't one of my favorite books ever. Then we have The Great Gatsby, which I actually just figured out is an arc. This isn't even the whole entire story, which I'm so confused by, but I went to Half Price Books one day, saw this. The last time I read The Great Gatsby was, God, probably 7th grade, and I was like, I really want to read it again as a newfound literature enthusiast. I don't know, and I just loved the cover, and now I guess it's an arc, so who knows. The Hating Game. This is my favorite book of all time. If you were subscribed to this channel, you would know because I have done quite a few book videos so far, and I talk about this in almost all of them somehow. I love this, and I want to go ahead and say thank you to the wonderful, gracious angel of a human, Miss Huber. She actually sent me this copy of this book. I did not have a physical copy of this book, even though it was like my favorite book ever, and somehow she knew that this cover right here, the UK cover, was my favorite. I don't like the one that we have like in the US. I just love this one. Like, let's take a moment. Like, I usually love the UK covers of books way better than the ones that we have here in the US. And she somehow knew with her little mind. That's awesome and amazing. Oh, here's Charlie. Hi. Hi. Hi, sweet girl. What are you doing? She's like, I heard you talking and I had to come. Why do you smell like bacon? You're not gonna tell me? You're not? You're sworn to secrecy? Pride and Prejudice, because I'm an intellectual. What can I say? Just kidding. I've actually been stuck on page 38 this whole entire time because this is in Old English. I didn't think so because of this cover. Obviously, it's like a newly published version. And I also found this at Half Price Books, and I've never read Pride and Prejudice, and I also want to get into Jane Austen. I don't know if I can read Old English. Like, it's just so hard for me to understand. But I will conquer Mount Everest. That is this book for me. Conversations with Friends. Did not like this book. I'm pretty sure I gave this like a 2 stars or like a 3, 2.5, something like that. Just really didn't like it, and I honestly I don't think I'm gonna read Sally Rooney. The X-Hex, I talked about this in my Halloween vlog and in my October wrap-up. Think that this is a cute book for the Halloween time. Again, it wasn't like a life-changing like The Hating Game or some other books that I have. It was just cute for the time that I was reading it. Like, there are a few Christmas books, like Christmas romances that I plan on reading in December, and I'm sure those will just be cute for the Christmas time. The Right Swipe. I'm not even going to waste my breath talking about this book. If you guys want to have a little bit of a laugh, go on my Goodreads and find my review for this book, because I rant reviewed this book and I think it's pretty funny. Without Merit, I have not read this book. I actually just picked it up today, but it didn't fit. My Colleen Hoover shelf was already filled up, and I'm just trying to really get the rest of the Colleen Hoover books at this point, so I'm pretty sure I just need my Point of Retreat series. I'm pretty sure there are like 3 books in that series, and I think there's a novella, and then Layla. Those are the only books I need, and I know she has a new book coming out that, does it come out in January? Oh my God, happy birthday to me. Anyway, tangent, Destiny goes on tangents. Anyway, I bought this today because I'm trying to complete the collection. I don't know, I feel like this is one of Colleen Hoover's books where it's like romance is kind of on the back burner and it's more about like her, you know, which I do actually like those. You Deserve Each Other, I bought this today as well. I actually already read it, but I wanted the physical copy of this book. Last on this shelf, The Love Hypothesis. Again, another book that I read in November that will be talked about at the end of the month. If you care, then you need to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified when that video is going to be uploaded, because it will be uploaded. Da, 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 da. Next shelf, let's talk about these. The Song of Achilles. I actually also read this in my book talk video. This book has beautiful, exquisite writing. The quotes are so cute. I gave this a 4 stars, but it's like not one of my favorite books of all time or anything. I just thought it was a beautiful story. But I'm not a huge fan of Greek mythology, so it fell a little short for me. But if you love The Song of Achilles, go on Etsy and look up The Song of Achilles quote tote bag. And they are so cute. Shipped. I read this book right after The Hating Game because I loved The Hating Game so much that I needed a book that was similar to it. And actually this says The Unhoneymooners meets The Hating Game. So 2 of my favorite books. I wanted to read it. I'm pretty sure I gave this like 3 stars. It was good, it was enjoyable, but it wasn't like one of my favorite books or anything. Every Last Word. This book was my favorite book for a long time. It talks a lot about mental health, and this story was so addicting. Daisy Jones and the Six. This is another 5-star read from me. I adore these characters, love them, and the quotes in this book, the relationships in this book are to die for. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I'm pretty sure I gave this about a 3.5 to 4 stars. I just don't love this book as much as everyone else does. How I love Daisy Jones and the Six, and I love the characters, love the story. I just didn't feel that with this book. I thought that the story was enjoyable, but I just wasn't connected. And for a book to be really good to me, I want to be connected. Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. This was like a quick, airy, fun read. I love the characters. Hazel is so quirky and funny, and I just love Christina Lauren because usually their characters, they're quick-witted, they're funny, the banter is always good, and that was the case for this book as well. The Unhoneymooners, again, quick-witted, banter is amazing. I loved Ethan and Olive. This is one of my favorite books as well. If you guys have watched my 5-star books, then if you haven't, it'll be up in the iCards. You should definitely go watch it after this one. Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. Another book that I have read this month. So just halt, on my opinion, till the end of the month. Again, subscribe, notification bell, so you'll know when I upload that video. The Bride Test. Heavily disappointed. I love The Kiss Quotient, loved The Heart Principle, hated this one. Didn't believe the chemistry of the 2 main characters. Like, I wasn't rooting for them. I didn't believe that they actually liked each other. And that's that. Where the Crawdads Sing. This is another one of my favorite books. I loved it. This is one of the books that got me back into reading this and another book that I'll talk about. It's kind of told like on the back. It makes you think it's a mystery, and it's really not. I loved the story of our main character, Kaya. I loved her story, and that was my favorite part of the book. Last on this shelf is The Deal. This is another book that I read this month, so again, I'm sorry. I feel like there's so many books that I read this month, and I'm like, you can't know about this until like the end of the month, so. This is my thriller shelf. I'm just gonna kind of run through this really quick because I love thrillers, but they're not like my favorite thing. Thrillers are kind of hard to talk about because there are so many plot twists and so many things that happen, so it's a little hard to always speak about. No Exit by Taylor Adams. I liked this book. I talked about this book in my October wrap-up. It takes place in a blizzard, so with winter coming up, this would be a really good book to read if you're into thrillers. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This is like one of the most hyped up like thriller mysteries on TikTok, and I have to say I don't really understand the hype. This wasn't like life-changing for me. It was more of a mystery, and I liked the whole like murder whodunit aspect of that, and that's about it. I wasn't connected to the characters. I felt like there were too many like leads, and it just wasn't as great as everyone was telling me it was. Final Girls by Riley Sager. Didn't really feel like that much of a thriller and kind of felt a little like mediocre-ish to me. I told you guys in my October wrap-up that you don't even get to like the main plot until about 70%. So that kind of ruins it for you. The Passengers by John Mars. Love this book. This is a scientific fiction thriller, and I hope they make this into a movie. It's about like self-driving cars, so think of like a Tesla. If they turn this into a movie, I know The One by him is getting turned into a Netflix show, and I can't wait to read it and watch it. The Chain was just kind of disappointing. It's not that good of a thriller. I wouldn't recommend like you going out of your way to read this book, but maybe if you like find it for like $2 or something, then read it. The Whisper Man, this was also just kind of another mediocre-ish book to me. I'm kind of over talking about thrillers because that's all I read in October. I think that's why I've like really stocked up on romance for this month, because I have to overcompensate for like too many thrillers the month before. The Silent Patient is my favorite thriller of all time. This book is amazing. Again, if you have somehow not read this book, I would so recommend this book. Last book is The Atlas 6. Again, this is a really hyped up book. Just did not live into the hype for me. Will I be reading the second book? Yes, because this book ends on a cliffhanger. And if you want to hear like more in-depth thoughts, definitely go to my October wrap-up, because I talk more about some of these books in there. Ooh, we have my thick books. I love to call them that. So we have my 2 Emily Henry's Beach Read People We Meet on Vacation. Absolutely love Beach Read, one of my favorite books of all time. And unpopular opinion, actually did not like People We Meet on Vacation as much as Beach Read. For people, it's the opposite. They like People We Meet on Vacation more than Beach Read. I just loved Gus and January in this book way more than Poppy and Alex. I just really didn't buy into like their relationship and loved their relationship. The only self-help book that's ever worked, 101 Essays to Change the Way You Think. I will not shove this book down your throat anymore, but I do want you guys to read this book because this book is amazing. I'm telling you, life-changing. 9 Perfect Strangers. This was just a fun story to read. It wasn't like life-changing, it wasn't one of my favorites. It was just one where it was like, that was good. Ellen Hildebrand's 28 Summers. I loved this book a lot more than I thought I would. My only problem with this book is that I hate when books have the storyline of a like, I'm in love with somebody, but I'm dating someone else, and you guys kind of have this connection behind somebody's back. A Little Life. This is one of my favorite books ever. Definitely check trigger warnings for this book because this book is so heavy, not only in actual weight, this book is like over 800 pages long, but also in topics and things talked about in this book. This book is so emotional and I was too numb to cry. Like I wanted to cry, my body was feeling that reaction and I couldn't because this book just made me so numb. That's how much stuff this book puts you through. Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna. This is a story about friendship and I just love this book. This book is like, it's like almost 500 pages and it's just like a tale about friendship throughout the years, and I read this at a time that I didn't know that I needed it, and this is one of my favorite books for that. It's like such a comforting book about friendship that I can really relate to. 1 star. That's all I'm gonna say about this book. I'm not even gonna waste my breath. We're down to my last shelf, which is all of my hardcover books. First, we have None Shall Sleep. This is a YA thriller, and I love this because if you have ever watched Silence of the Lambs and you like Silence of the Lambs, I love Silence of the Lambs. One of my favorite like thriller movies ever. You should read this book because this is literally Silence of the Lambs. And I just also want to say, for this being a YA thriller, it was kind of like a little dark. Like for this being YA, I was really caught off guard, like some of the stuff that they talk about in this, but kudos to them because it was really good. This is probably the most random book that I own, but it is I'll Be There For You, the one about Friends. It's basically a biography about the Friends show, behind the scenes facts, stuff that was happening that many people don't know about. And if you don't know me, Friends is my comfort show. I've loved Friends since I was in like 5th grade, and it's just so comforting to me. Rachel Green is who I identify with. I'm sure you could tell. But I just loved this show so much, and one day me and my brother were book shopping and I found this and he bought this book for me. So it's about friends and my brother bought this book for me, so it has a lot of emotional value to it. Such a Fun Age is the most gorgeous cover that I own. Can we talk about it? Love this cover so much. And loved the story. Really liked this book. The Soulmate Equation, at this point, I am just, Christina Lauren can do no wrong. I love literally all of their books. I'm pretty sure this one is a new release, yeah, 2021. Pretty sure this was released in 2021, and it's great. Also, did we know that Christina Lauren were 2 different authors? Because I didn't until like a month ago. The Maidens, This is the same author of The Silent Patient, and I'm just convinced that he does not write a bad thriller. This one, if you are into Greek mythology, I would really recommend this because there's a lot of Greek mythology tied into this. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. A lot of people may find this hard to believe that this is the book that got me back into reading. I have loved reading all of my life. I have loved it. Had my own personal library growing up, like had so many books, made my parents buy me books all the time, and I loved them. And I just kind of took a little bit of a break during high school. I was still reading quite frequently, but not like as much as I had been. And I was on Book Talk one day. Like I was on TikTok and I got thrown into Book Talk and someone was talking about this book. And for the first time in like probably a year, I was like, oh my God, I really want this book. So I went and got it and loved it. And I know a lot of people say that this is a super slow book, but I personally think you need that for her story to really understand Addie and what she went through. And if that, to me, it was more of a like, if this is slow to me, imagine what life has been like for her. So, and also once you get past the slow part, it is such an amazing, heart-wrenching story. It's beautiful and I love it. Malibu Rising, Taylor Jenkins Reid. I read this on vacation over the summer and I loved it. I loved the story. If you've read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, this follows Mick Reva's family and his children. And it was just so good. Also, it being set in Malibu, it being set in the summertime, it being set in the 80s, like this was perfect. Love it. And the very last book, again, but better. This has been one of my favorite books for such a long time. If you're in college or say you're a senior in high school, I would really recommend this book because our main character is in college and she's kind of like split between what she wants to do in her life. She goes to study abroad, which I absolutely loved reading about. And she's just kind of torn on what road she wants to travel in her life. Like the Robert Frost, two roads, one less traveled. Something along the lines of that, but this book is awesome. Okay. That just scared me. Okay guys, we are ending this video from my bed because one, my back hurts, and two, I don't know, I'm just showing you guys how casual I am trying to be. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I just wanted to kind of show you guys my bookshelf, kind of take you through a tour of all of the books that I own because I talk about all of the books that I love. Of course I do end of the month wrap-ups, but books that I've had in my collection for quite a while and books that maybe I don't talk about that you guys want to hear about. I just wanted to give you guys a video where I talk about them. So if you guys liked it, give it a thumbs up down below. And if you guys liked me, want to see more book videos, I post vlogs, I really post anything. Really post anything, so if you are into that, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and the notification bell at the side to be notified whenever I upload videos. Remember that I love you guys, and you guys can comment down below book recommendations, what you think of some of the books that I have, what videos that you guys want to see, and basically anything you want. And until then, I will see you guys when I see ya. Peace.